Are all record labels shady? Do all of them take advantage of young artists? Not even young artists, just artists in general. Are labels out here making their lives difficult, signing you to a 360 deal, signing your soul away? Do all labels do that? I don't know, bro. We're about to hop into this video. We're going to learn today. Shout out to the gang. Let's go. What's good, Dark Knight gang? I'm Neptune. Hey, bro, today I'm about to react to a video from Hip Hop Madness. This one right here is titled Record Labels, the biggest scam in hip hop. Y'all requested it, don't trip you now, I got y'all. This should be an interesting video. Of course, I'm gonna give my take on it as well. You guys know I'm trying to break into the music industry. I've been putting in a lot of work, you know what I'm saying, becoming an artist. However, I have done tons and tons of research when it comes to record labels as well. I'm gonna say this, bro. They can be a scam. You can get scammed from the record labels if you allow yourself to be taken advantage of. It happens, of course. However, there's another way. If you don't allow yourself to get scammed, the record labels can actually be beneficial for you. Let me just give you a quick example really quick. Let's say you never signed to a record label, right? You're never going to have the machine behind you to push you. You're always going to stay an independent artist. It's going to be hard for you to get known. Keep it a stack. It's going to be hard for you to get all the fame, all the popularity. You're not going to be getting endorsement deals. You're not going to be getting featured with the big time artists because they're all signed. It is what it is. You're going to stay underground. You're going to stay independent, and maybe you can make 100K, 200K per year, but you'll never be big time if you stay independent. That's just the way the game goes. In order for you to be big time, you have to be signed, bro. Or you gotta come with some sort of deal with the record labels, bro. It is what it is. I'm gonna keep it a stack. Like I said, you can still make money as an independent artist. You can make 100K, 200K if you have a big following and you grow your own following, but you'll never be like on TV like that. You'll never be with like Drake. Nah. So, one instance, like I said, if you want to be a well-known, huge artist, world-renowned, everybody knows you, you have to sign. You need that machine behind you. It is what it is, man. We're going to see what Hip Hop Madness says. They believe it's a scam. Like I said, I don't think it's a scam. It depends on your goals. If you want to be an independent artist, never known, but you just want to make money off of your music, you can stay independent. However, if you want to be world-renowned, you want to go to the Met Gala, you trying to go to the BET Awards, you trying to go to all these awards, you trying to live the lavish life of a signed artist, you have to be signed. That's just the way the game is, bro. But yeah, man, shout out to the gang. Let's hop into this video. Let's see what Hip Hop Madness got to say about it. Yeah, let's go.
Now more than ever, hip-hop artists have the power to be the masters of their own destiny. And thanks to the internet and social media, literally anyone with a drive and determination can reach audiences around the world. Able to make music with an iPhone or computer, this drastic overhaul in both music distribution and the ability to generate a fan base should have meant, theoretically at least, that record labels should have become extinct. Inspired by the success stories of those who refused to sign to a label and do it independently, some believe that the power of record labels must have been crumbling. In fact, disruptive ex-major label head Steve Stout believes that it would only take one flagship artist to take a stand in order for the whole thing to fold in on itself like a house of cards.
If Drake right now posts a link on a picture on the gram of his new album, link in bio, new album out, fully independent, Drake will make $10 million a week for
I'm sure
60 weeks.
By the way,
you know what I'm saying?
Drake is about to get the biggest bag in the history of the music business by far.
He should.
They don't want that to happen because the day that happens, you might as well close the business down.
But as empowering as this concept is, the reality is different. Despite the rise in independence and the adoption of new distribution platforms such as Empire and United Masters, 93.3% of hip-hop that made it onto the billboards between the years 2010 and 2018 came from the majors.
Yes, sir.
And in a broader sense, 3 major record labels, Sony, Universal, and Warner, continue to produce 2/3 of all music sold.
Man.
No matter how many people claim to be going it alone or maintain that they have their own imprint, the majors are signing over 50 artists a month. each one of them feeling, for a moment at least, like the most important person in the world until the walls come tumbling down. And as the countless cautionary tales make it all too clear, these companies don't so much sell dreams as they loan them out. Not to mention when it comes time for them to get what they feel they're owed, the repayments are exceedingly high. Upholding a world in which a famed group such as TLC could have had platinum certified sales and yet still finds himself so broke that they had to borrow 15 grand for a lawsuit, you'd think that the increased access to information of this kind would give artists pause before signing the dotted line. But from an artist as famed as Meek Mill's claiming that he's never received a dime from MMG, to Big Sean informing the world that he was signed into a 360 deal that came with just a $15,000 advance, the labels have still managed to scheme and plot their way into holding on to the status quo that they've created.
Yeah, man.
As for how they do it, well, there's a series of age-old scams which are employed to keep both major labels and their seemingly hip-hop friendly subsidiaries in the driver's seat. For starters, we have the whole concept of a record company advance. Often seen as the first substantial bag that an up-and-coming rapper receives, the advance has become the stuff of hip-hop legend. Defined as a sum of money given by the label to the artist for them to live off of while producing an album, which then has to be paid back from sales of that album before any royalties can be claimed.
Yes, sir.
The common perception is that they've awarded the funds to you.
All right, let me explain what he meant by that, because some of you are going to be like, huh? So anyway, when an artist gets signed, they be like, oh, I got a bag. Bro, it's a loan from your label. Your label just gives you money and say, now you got to pay us back. Now you need to make money from your music and pay us all this money back that we gave you, plus interest. That's how it works. But let's keep going.
And from then on, they're at your disposal. Considered to be the budget for your record, it'd be expected that this was yours to do with what you'd like. But in reality, there are ways in which a major will step in and drain your cash reserves, leaving you with little or nothing to show for it by the end of the recording process. Or in the most duplicitous of circumstances, funnel your cash into another artist that's popping at the time. I seen that I was tied to another artist, Waka Flocka Flame said of his time at Warner. Most of my budget money is going to the one that put more money in. They enter, you get hot, we throw the money. If you don't have the record that's buzzing, they don't care, you're flipped. During a recent episode of Off the Record podcast, Academics relayed another tale of budget tampering that he'd heard of. This time, he said that the label went out of their way to make the recording experience as expensive as possible for the artist in order to deplete their funds and retain control.
They gave somebody a $2 million recording budget. In a $2 million recording budget, they wanted to book a studio every day for 6 months straight.
That's taking all the money.
The manager for the artist said, well, if it's $2 million, oh, we finna save some money. We about to take about like 60 to 70,000. We gonna build our own studio. They said the label told them, we won't approve of any place that we don't already pre-select. Which means you can't take the budget and go do it a cheaper way.
You gotta go to
the place
this
they ended up having
one.
to basically settle with. It was a mansion in the Hollywood Hills that had a studio in it that they paid $3,500 a day, running through that artist's budget. The label and the person who owned the crib, they got a relationship. That's almost like money laundering. You're making sure that that artist's budget go to the person you with. You're saying they got a big budget, but you won't give them the budget that they could do what they want.
Given the illusion of control.
Oh, snap, you hear that? All right, I'm going to sign you to a $2 million deal. However, you got to go to the studio every day for 6 months. That costs $3,500 per day. Let's think about that. Let's just say it's $3,000 per day. 3,000, 30 days a month. That's 9 bands. No, that's $90,000 a month, bro. So for 6 months, 9 times 6, what's that? $540,000? Yeah, that's only a quarter of your money. But still, that's a lot of money just going to the studio. 540 G's, bro.
Control by dangling a big yet unobtainable number in front of your face. This tactic also bleeds into the underhanded trend of labels flattering their artists with gifts, which, while appreciated, can act as a distraction from what's really going on in the accounting. From Birdman gifting Wayne Bentley Coupes and Rolls Royces in the years prior to Weezy revealing the millions in unpaid earnings that they've withheld from him, to Summer Walker, whose original 2017 deal with Interscope gave her a pitiful 15% royalty rate. Being given a G-Wagon by those very same bosses, labels are happy to give you all the trappings of lavishness on their terms.
Yeah.
When in reality, they should simply pay artists adequately and allow them to make whatever purchases or financial decisions they choose.
Facts.
But, as we're learning, the labels will employ any tactic they can to keep things lopsided, even if it means immorally tying young men and women up in legal knots when they've likely never seen a contract before in their lives. Although there are many ways to do this, one that's become particularly prominent in hip-hop is providing artists with the same legal counsel that advises the labels, thus ensuring that at every turn, they'll act in the interests of the massive firm, rather than the young, impressionable creatives. For a contemporary example of this, look no further than Migos' recent high-profile lawsuit against Damian Granderson. Filed in 2020, Migos alleged that Granderson cheated the group out of millions of dollars, accusing him of glaring conflicts of interest, and also accusing him of betraying Migos when he failed to disclose the complete nature of his relationship with Quality Control. DJ Boost Brian Z. Zizza noted that he was the very same man that negotiated their first ill-fated deal with 300 too. In a deep dive into the situation on the Joe Budden podcast, former co-host Rory Farrell, who previously worked for Sony as a marketing manager, cited the situation as a clear-cut example of how when it comes down to it, Migos' family ties with QC or not, the deck is always stacked against the artists.
I don't care if you have the biggest single on earth. To a lawyer, you are not more of a higher priority than a production company or the label that you are signing to. So when the people that you think are managing you offer you the lawyer to then negotiate with the management company,
that's their
stop
lawyer.
Right there. Yeah. That's their lawyer.
Yeah.
They will only have your best interest at heart when it profits to the production company or the label.
Far from an isolated incident, this devious tactic of equipping an artist with a company's...
You guys see all the different ways the label just takes advantage of artists, but that's what I'm saying. You have two options. You can be an independent artist and keep your money. However, you're never going to be world renowned and known. Like he started this video on the Billboard charts, it's only artists that are signed because they control that. They're not about to put up. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going.
Lawyer was the same practice that led Tyga to have to pay
It's the game,
at least 12
baby!
to 15 million to get out of his contract with Cash Money. Intent on
This
keeping
is the
artists
industry,
on the back
bro.
foot, this is an extreme example of the deck that can mount up when you're on a major. But in the words of academics, this is at the core of how labels keep artists ensnared for years on end.
You have leverage with somebody when they're always in debt.
Yeah.
When you're financing their career more than they've made. You know what a label does when an artist you have recouped? They offer you more money.
Yeah.
Oh, so we
And you
gave
sign-
you $1 million.
Yeah, and you signed another deal, and now you're back in debt to them again. They just give you a bigger contract. Watch.
For your first album, and damn, you blew that out of the water. Yo, we'll give you 5 right now. What's up?
See?
They're gonna drown you in debt. The label's
Yeah.
job is to drown you in debt.
So you keep resigning.
Royalty payments, the split on it between the artist and the label is different when the artist is in debt than when the artist has recouped.
Barring the financial red tape that they'll wrap artists up in once you're signed, it's important to remember that sometimes the biggest scam that they can ever perpetrate is getting you in the door in the first place. Because in the era of independence, the prestige of a record label is often built on a false narrative which lulls you into thinking that they'll eventually elevate your career. When in reality, they're just segmenting the money that you could have earned. And by the time that they lock you into the dreaded 360, the extent of their control over your earnings can't be undone.
And I've watched them trick people into thinking that after they built their foundation and they have their show and all the exposure is done, that they need them to go to the next level and then have them sell their whole entire behind away. 360, whole 360 degrees of your ass, pause, away.
Sheesh.
On other occasions, as explained by No Limit icon Master P, they'll exploit the naivety of a young artist from poverty and by signing you early, withhold your true value for decades.
Like even you look at the guys now, that's probably big right now with social media. I just seen they had NBA YoungBoy. He's the biggest YouTuber, you know, for his
Influence.
music. He did a deal for $2 million for 5 records. So think about that. You got the money up front, but imagine what they get. So we have to teach that to the next generation. Look at the bigger picture. Don't just look at the now. That $1 million look good right now, but what about 10 years from now?
Make no mistake, there are artists who've managed to make the mainstream system work for them. And in the case of 21 Savage, who owns all of his masters, or SZA, who obtained a 70-30 split in her favor between herself and Interscope, there are definitely case studies to be inspired by. But for everyone who thinks that they can tame the beast, you have an NLE Choppa who, after initially turning down a $3 million deal and making a big deal out of his distribution with United Masters, took a joint venture with Warner just months later. Now just one album and mixtape into his deal, he's hoping to rush back to independence after seeing Through the Glass. But if any artist has been relentlessly banging the drum for taking label deals on your terms while keeping one eye on independence at all times, it's Russ. After making his name off his own back, Russ acknowledged that there are reasons to sign during a feature on the Rory and Mal podcast.
If a Universal is prepared to give you 600 grand, that's because they think you're gonna make 2 mil. When you start really seeing the fruits of your labor and labels are willing to offer you these 6-figure deals, $1 million deals, 7-figure deals, it's because you're worth more than that. I jumped ship with Columbia July 2016 because I wanted radio. Apple Music came out in 2015. Even in 2016, streaming was not what it was. I was still looking around the game like, all right, well, I want to be a massive artist. I don't want to be underground.
So
and I'm noticing, well, everyone who's massive has a label.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I gotta level the playing field. It wasn't because I needed the money, because I was making at that point 100 grand a month. It wasn't the money. It was, I need to level the playing field because I gotta get access into radio and certain things that I don't have access to.
Yeah, man.
Now, in 2021, if I was an up and coming artist making 100 grand a month, would I sign? No.
You're a millionaire,
once
so
again, after seeing
understandable.
out his contract, Russ is ready to do it all again, beginning with new EP Chomp 2. And now, he's come back with what he saw as insider information on how to provide funding without ever having to grovel to a major.
Anything you're getting from the label, you can fund it yourself. And honestly, if it's like, well, the label puts up the money to go get radio. Let's say it's 250 grand to like go all the way with it.
But here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing. Most artists who are up and coming don't have this money. You see what I'm saying? Listen to what he's about to say.
Well, I don't want to play with my own money. I don't want to play with my own money either. Guess what you can go do? Go get a line of credit.
You are not going to get a line of credit for $250K when you're not making nothing near that, Russ. You got to keep it. You got to remember, you're rich already. Most people aren't.
I go get 500,000 from a bank.
You're not getting 500K from the bank. A normal person isn't.
And I use it. I got to now pay monthly. It's still my money at the end of the day, but it's about time value of money. It's about cash flow. It's about peace of mind, right? And it's about going into your pockets. I'll go into the pockets of the bank. So with Chomp 2, I was like, I could fund this. I have millions of dollars in the bank. I could fund it
already
myself.
rich, so of course.
Yo, bank, give me my line of credit.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Here's $500,000. Say less.
Self-assured as he is, and this being the antidote to popular artists ever having to tangle with labels, it must be said that this is an oversimplification that leaves many factors out. Considering that studies show that black-owned firms are twice as likely to be rejected for credit than their white counterparts, the model that Russ is putting out there isn't necessarily viable for many of those in the very art form that he, as a white person, has integrated with. And beyond that, it also only applies to those who've already made a fortune, meaning that for many of those who still have hopes of using art to lift themselves out of hardship, going to the bank and getting a cool $500,000 is a pipe dream.
Exactly.
Although artists such as the late, great Young Dolph have proven that with enough hustle, you can make millions off your own back with ever taking a bag from a label, that takes a level of resolve that is almost inhuman. As frustrating as it is to watch, the reality is that record labels have mastered the art of overriding your better judgment and making it seem as though they're improving your life in one fell swoop. When all you've known in life is poverty, a seemingly life-changing sum of money up front is incredibly hard to turn down. And, immoral or not, labels know that all too well. While it'll take a long time before their influence is truly eradicated, all we can hope for is that their stranglehold keeps loosening through independent success stories to the point that eventually, sometime in the distant future, this scam is laid bare, once and for all.
I feel you. All right, great video from the homie Hip Hop Madness. Bro, I'm with you too. I hope that in the future, things can be different when it comes to labels. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they got the whole music industry on lock. So what Russ said, that's literally impossible for like 99% of up-and-coming artists. You cannot get that money. So since you can't get that money, you won't be putting yourself on playlists. You won't be making it on any charts. You're not going to be blowing up like that, bro. It's extremely difficult. So what artists need to do now is build up themselves before they sign. Something that you guys don't know, I've been having labels reach out to me for the past like year and some change, trying to sign me to some BS deals, because they're like, oh, okay, you already know how to gain a following. You have over 600,000 followers on YouTube. You look good. You got tattoos. We could easily work with you, right? That's what labels have already been saying, but they're trying to give me horrible deals. So what I'm doing personally is growing my audience even more, growing myself as an audience even more, to where when labels finally do come to me, it'll be more so like a bank loan. They'll just be like, hey, we'll loan you this money and you got to repay it. You know what I'm saying? But in order for you to become a huge artist nowadays, once again, the only way to do that is to have that machine behind you. If you don't want to be signed, you don't want to be a huge artist, that's completely fine. You can grind, you can build up your own audience, and you can make money. You know what I'm saying? You can make money, but you'll never be a huge artist. You'll never be world renowned. You won't be going on tours with Drake, with the biggest of biggest artists. You won't be in their features, nothing like that, bro. You'll just stay underground. But so I'm saying, as an artist, you have options. You have options. You can play the game with the label, and hopefully that you get a great deal, or not play a game with the label and just stay independent and do that grind, make your own money, and never really pop like that. You got options, bruh. But great video from the homie. Yeah, man, I hope you guys learned something today, you feel me? I learned a little bit more myself. Yeah, shout out to the gang. Everybody have a great night. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Yeah. Peace.